the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois. Bonjour.
Bonjour, Nico. How's it going?
Good, you?
Very good. I'm actually at the cottage in just north of Montreal. It's 32 degrees, sunny out, and I'm about an hour away from being on my bike all afternoon. So life is
Beautiful.
It's a tough life, huh?
Yeah.
So Rob is in the east. I'm just outside Montreal. So I guess we're pretty close to each other.
Yeah. Where are you, Rob?
I'm in Fredericton, but I grew up in Halifax, so I'm quite familiar with Dalhousie University. My sister just went to medical school there, actually. So nice to see that.
Also, there's she's
tiger.
the smarts.
Yeah, she's the smart one in the family. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So before we go, how do we call you? Because I like the food professor, by the way. I think it's a great name.
Well, I mean, it's I'm called the food professor for people who can't pronounce my name, but
Sylvain
is fine.
Yeah, that's pretty French. That's pretty.
Yeah.
I remember the reason why I'm called the food professor is that I think about 20 years ago, I was in Calgary, and the MC at the time couldn't pronounce my name, and he actually came up with the moniker food professor. And in the audience, there was the editor of the Canadian Grocer, a well-known magazine in our field, and she came over and said, "Well, I loved your talk. Love to see you write an op-ed every month in our magazine. Are you up for it? Sure, but you got to call it a name." Well, I don't know how to call it. Well, I'll call you the food professor. So it stuck. It stuck.
It's a great name.
I agree. I like it. It's one of the guys in the comments, because we do have a lot of comments. Like you can see them at the bottom and you see them on the right. But one of the guys last week called you the food processor.
The food processor.
Yeah. The food processor. And
yeah.
I've been just hoping I did not mess up the introduction and call you the food processor, but
yeah, we were going over questions earlier before the show.
Whoops.
Yeah. Actually, it's a mistake that a lot of people make. To be honest, because both words are pretty similar. But I do process a lot of data.
So
my name is the food professor for sure. I have and if you look me up on X, my handle is the food professor on LinkedIn as well. And so
it's a great name. It's absolutely a great name. So Rob and I have been talking about the dairy cartel, or the supply management that we have here in Canada, especially because Trump is always talking about it during the tariff, that as a way to try to put more tariffs on us. And I did a research, and you're the number one voice that came up to talk about this. So that's why. Thank you for being here, by the way. From what
my pleasure. I was intrigued by your show. Actually, it looks great.
By the way, this is the thing, right? Maybe to tell you, Rob's a liberal. I'm a conservative. So Rob, the liberals are too woke.
A common sense liberal. There are some of us.
It's nonsense. A common sense liberal is called the conservative, right?
There's
not. It's not. but the whole point is that he's a common sense liberal. I'm a Christian conservative, so I'm the complete opposite side. And every day we have conversation about what's going on in politics and in the news, and we debate it, and we do it live with our audience.
Debates are great. That's
the whole point. So we wanted to have you on because we've been talking about the food cartel, or the dairy cartel, and we came to the conclusion that the average person, the average Canadian, has no clue what it is. We don't really understand what it's about, why it's there. So we figured I wanted to find somebody with balls that had the courage to tell the truth, call it out for what it is. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, right? That's the whole point of the show. Is you can say whatever you want. You're not going to hurt our feelings. You can swear. You can not swear. Totally up to you. But it's open. Like fuck. There you go. The door's open. You can say it as many times as you want. But the point is that we have a few questions for you, but you can. How much time do you have, by the way? Because I think I booked you for half an hour. But
half an hour is the time I have for you.
Okay,
I hope it's okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good because if we get along, we'll have you back. We like to have friends of the show. We have a bunch of people we invite back on when we need the help.
I mean, do you really want to talk about supply management for like 3 hours? Really?
That's the type of audience. That's the type of audience that we have, actually. We have a very, very. I don't know how we did it, but our audience is smart. I don't know how we figured it out, but our audience is very smart. But
a couple of yahoos in their kitchens talking about whatever the fuck. But yeah, somehow it works.
So,
just before you go, Nico, I was just going to say, and we have talked a lot about the dairy cartel, as we call it, or supply management, in the context of trade, because it seems to be in the news a lot lately. And we'd also like to get. So, I thought it was going to be really interesting to have you on, just to give us the context of what this system's all about, how it came to be, who it helps, who it doesn't, and how it situates into trade, and just sort of what your opinions are on that, because it seems to be a sticking point. And it seems like if that's the reason why we don't get a trade deal, personally, I think that would be a huge mistake. But I would like to hear your opinions on these things. I think Nico's going to lead us off with a question or two here.
Simple from the top. What is our supply? If you can explain to us elevator pitch, as we call them, of what is our supply management or dairy cartel, as we like to call it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, first of all, thank you for the invitation, guys. I really appreciate debates, and of course, supply management is an important issue. It's an issue that I've been studying for almost 25 years now, and so marketing boards. We have plenty of marketing boards in Canada, over 130. Most people don't know that. And marketing boards, it's about countervailing power for farmers. Farmers are price takers, and they seek protection once in a while to get the best price possible for their products, because farmers don't control anything really. They harvest, they go to market, and they take whatever price they're being offered. And so that's basically how farming works. So they set up these marketing boards to get protection. Now, supply management, as we call it, the SM5, because there are 5 sectors under supply management. We often talk about dairy because dairy is 80% of cash receipts under supply management. So you have eggs, you have chicken, turkey, and broiler eggs as well. So those are the other 4. The other 4 we don't talk about much because they're very competitive already. I mean, they're vertically integrated. They work with processors. They innovate for consumers quite a bit. And frankly, prices are very similar to the US, but not dairy. Dairy is different. Dairy prices are very high, much higher than what you would find in the US right now. So that's why the focus is mainly on dairy. And I'll stick to dairy because I think there's a lot of issues with dairy right now, to be honest, and that's why Donald Trump is after dairy and talks a lot about dairy now. To be honest, I actually think that not only most people don't understand supply management, but most people who write about supply management don't understand supply management. And President Trump doesn't understand supply management. Most of our politicians don't understand supply management. I actually can think of about 2 or 3 politicians that do understand supply management very well, and I've actually had discussions with them one-on-one over the years. Danielle Smith is probably the one person who I know understands supply management very well. She has an opinion on it, of course, but she understands it very well. And when she was a broadcaster, a radio broadcaster, that's when her and I interacted a lot about supply management. And Maxime Bernier is the other one. Now, Maxim and I, we disagree fundamentally on what to do with supply management. We both agree that it's an inefficient model. He believes that we should abolish supply management overall. I don't subscribe to that view at all. I do think that there are inevitables. We are north of a superpower called the United States. If we are to end supply management, it really means that we're asking Canadians to start drinking American milk and eat American products almost overnight, because our sector is just not competitive at all. It will just collapse. And I don't think that Canadians want that. So how do we come up with supply management 2.0? That's always been my approach to supply management. It's somewhere in between. But right now in Canada, we have this very highly polarized debate around supply management. On the one side, you have the dairy farmers of Canada basically stating the status quo, using false arguments false beliefs that this system is perfect. It is not. It is far from perfect. And on the other hand, you have the Maxime Berniers of the world claiming that supply management is costing us more money, it's inefficient, and we should get rid of it altogether. That too, I think, would be a mistake as well. So here we are facing President Trump with no plan B, no plan at all to reform supply management, and that's why a lot of people in Canada are panicking, starting with dairy farmers and politicians.
Well, I think it goes to the next question very well, actually, because
now I didn't explain what supply management was. In fairness to your question,
oh yeah,
simply, supply management is a regime allowing a country to produce what it needs.
Sure.
As simple as that. So you have a quota system. The quota system, this is very important. The quota system is managed by provinces. Tariffs are managed to protect, of course, if you're producing what you need to protect your market. So you have high tariffs on imports. That's the feds. And the feds is also responsible for setting prices at farm gates. So the Canadian Dairy Commission, which is a crown corporation owned by you and I, so the CDC, not the CBC, the CDC is responsible to set farm gate prices so dairy farmers can get a fair price for their work. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how supply management works.
I just have a quick question on clarification there, Dr. Charlebois. So you said
it's Sylvain, by the way.
Oh, Sylvain, gotcha.
Yeah.
So your definition there of supply management was a way for the whatever the group is that set up, I don't want to call it a cartel, but to give us what we need. But would it not also be true to say what we need, but not as defined by the market, as defined by someone in accounting somewhere, and also no more than what we need? Because we've seen videos here of farmers dumping 30,000 liters of milk. So they have a target, but it can't even go over the target. And if it does, down the drain. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Everything you just said is absolutely accurate, I would say. And ourselves with McGill University, which is where I'll be spending my next year in Montreal, we actually released a study in January showing that cane dairy producers are dumping anywhere between 600 million to 1 billion liters a year with supply management. And so dairy farmers, their response is, well, the Americans dump too. Well, they don't have supply management. That's one thing. And secondly, cows don't have taps. So surely we're dumping milk. Their response is that they're not dumping milk. Dairy farmers are not dumping milk. Well, you just mentioned, we just saw a guy dump 30,000 liters of milk because he was asked to dump 30,000 liters of milk. So there's a lot of dairy farmers in Canada have actually gone. They've gone so far. They're willing to mislead Canadians, misinform Canadians, just to protect the virtues of supply management, because they know that Canadians actually don't understand the regime, but they trust farmers. So if dairy farmers are saying that to them, it means that probably it's good for them. But there's so much misinformation out there given to Canadians, unfortunately.
Is it, at the end of the day, if we boil it down to the simplest denominator, would you say that the only reason that the dairy cartel or supply management is there is really to prevent the U.S. from outbidding us in a free market? Is that we cannot directly compete with the US? Is that what it is? Is that the idea? Is that the sales pitch at the end of the day?
The supply management has nothing to do with the US. And by the way, this argument out there saying that President Trump is out there to destroy supply management, he's after supply management. He's not. It's nonsense. Anybody who said that doesn't know what exactly is going on here.
Be careful. People are going to start calling you a MAGA supporter. Be careful.
Yeah, the far right. Yeah.
I do not care. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been called all sorts of names. I don't care. I say what I think, and I respond to questions the best I can. The President Trump's approach to geopolitics is something that Canadians don't necessarily appreciate right now, given the information that are given to them. I don't think they understand exactly what is going on here. Donald Trump is not only a transactional president, but he doesn't believe in multilateralism. He doesn't believe that in a zero-sum game when it comes to trades. He doesn't believe any of that. And I think it's important to appreciate that and frankly respect that, because Donald Trump represents 25% of the world economy. 25%, a quarter of the world economy. We're not even at 2%. So, but Donald Trump will use wedge issues to get what he wants. And one of them for us is supply management. Like, think about it. Do you think that we want to sell more dairy to Americans and vice versa? Do you think Canadians would want more American products into their grocery stores? No. And in the US, they have too much milk. So economically, it doesn't make any sense for a president to break up supply management, but he knows now that it's really bothering Ottawa, and he knows that Ottawa is not ready for supply management 2.0, and that's why he's using supply management to get what he really wants. And what he really wants, and well, Rob just said it before I came along, resources. That's what he wants.
Natural resources, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. We that's one of the themes we have here with Carney. It seems like he really misjudged Donald Trump, and he's got a certain personality. He's petty. As you said, he's transactional. He takes things personally, and we can complain about how ridiculous that is to be president and be like that. But the fact of the matter is, it is the reality on the ground. And I think Mark Carney made a miscalculation when he went into these negotiations. I think he thought he was going to more or less dealing with a typical American president. And Donald Trump is absolutely not like that.
I mean, I'm not a member of any political party, and I try to see different angles to this. In fairness to Prime Minister Carney,
yep.
I would say I'm not sure he misread Donald Trump.
Okay.
He had a legacy called the Trudeau government, and that's a really hard legacy to manage. I mean, it's been tough over the last 10 years. And Mark Carney, who is more to the right, let's be honest here, he's more of a conservative
absolutely
prime minister. He's inheriting a lot of baggage, and at the same time, he has this affiliation with Europe and the World Economic Forum. He's part of that society, and he's been very outgoing. I've actually had discussions with his wife as part of this a few years ago on her podcast, and so he does recognize that politically, and that brings a lot of bias and baggage to his, I would say, persona as a prime minister. Now, what he needs to do is to manage expectations. He came in and won the election based on false expectations, saying that he's the best negotiator, that he's willing to, he's able to get the best deal possible for Canada. You cannot negotiate with Donald Trump. It is impossible. No. You have to cope with him. And that's the false promise. That's the one mistake he did, I would say. It's to say to Canadians, give me the mandate because I'll be tough with Donald Trump. You cannot do that. No one can. I would say all the leaders around the world, I would say that probably the top leader that I've seen performing with Trump that has done very well is President the president of Mexico. Her name escapes me, but anyways. Sheinbaum.
Yes,
and so she's been very forceful. She's been honest with the Mexican. I was in Mexico in February, and she's been very honest with Mexicans, saying this is going to be tough. You cannot negotiate with Trump, and she's been open with Trump, saying this is not a style I appreciate dealing with. Instead of just saying, instead of saying like Carney's been trying to play nice with Donald Trump, and he's seen now by Canadians as a two-faced prime minister, and that's something that needs to change as far as I'm concerned if he wants to deliver.
The thing is he had to lie in order to win. because you cannot go from being Trudeau's economic advisor for 4 or 5 years and then arrive on the scene like a fresh face saying, I'm going to save the economy. Brother, you were involved in all. You were behind the scenes. So you're as responsible as Trudeau is. So that's the only way he was able to get in power, is to lie to Canadians, to the elbows up movement, to say, I'm going to stand up to Trump. Yet, even on a ladder, he can't stand up to Trump. So, but you're absolutely right. We don't have any leverage, right? I'm just happy that at least Harper admitted to it yesterday, because we've been saying it for 4 months now. We have no leverage, no matter what. Even if we wanted, what do we bring to the table? They buy 75% of our exports. What do we bring to the table? Zero. We need them more than they need us right now. That's a fact, right? We need to become more self-reliant. No questions about it, but that's a medium to long-term goal.
The thing about, I mean, I'm concerned about Ottawa and Prime Minister Carney and his cabinet, but I'm mostly concerned about Canadians as a whole, because I do think, because I go to the U.S., I've been to the U.S. 3-4 times the last 6 months. I don't know about you guys, and
spent half my year in the U.S. So yeah.
So but I've in the last couple of years, I've grown concerned about how many Canadians, not all Canadians, but many Canadians, see themselves as morally superior
yes.
to the
not Americans,
and which fueled the elbows up campaign. Let's be honest. And to me, that's not healthy at all. I mean, Americans are different, but they're not morally inferior. And this is something that really, I think, has fueled the elbows up campaign. And Mark Carney, to your point, Nico, I think took advantage of that momentum and really didn't resist much, because it did help his political cause.
And we've talked about that. And you know, you could say, sure, that was a good political strategy to get elected, but once he got elected, he surely should have pivoted. No, like kind of understood, okay, this was fine for the election, but I can't go down there elbowed. Like, I remember one of her first speeches, he seemed very, even after he won, he seemed very, just basically the vibe to me felt like, fuck America, we're going to shift over to Europe. And that seemed like a huge mistake, in my opinion. And so
it was strange. Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah. Do you think that there's been a pivot internally in terms of Carney's team? Because reading what the things coming out of these negotiations, it seems like they're just flummoxed. It seems like they don't know what to do.
I know that your conservative audience will disagree with me, but I do think that he came out, you know, when he was elected on April 28th, he came out with a stronger cabinet than what Trudeau had, to be honest. I think I saw there are some weaknesses for sure, but it was a stronger cabinet. So that was a good start. But Rob, I mean, yeah, the trip to Europe and signaling that we need to get closer to Europe, an old continent. And from an agri-food perspective, which is my field, I can tell you straight out, dealing with Europe is extremely, extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Given all of the regional economies that they have from a food perspective, it's extremely difficult to deal with the EU. However, I mean, yesterday we learned that the EU actually made a deal with the US at 15%. I saw that as good news for Canada.
Yeah.
Because we do have a trade deal with Europe, and perhaps we could become a little bit more competitive with the US if we get a good deal with the Americans. That's the big if that we have to face right now. But I do think that overall we need to become more strategic. The concern that I have is that I absolutely think that Canada, and I'm sorry to say, I'm going to use my first swear word here, Canada sucks at geopolitics. We suck at it. We don't understand the world order, how it's shifting. Trump is shifting all of it right now, and we need to adapt as quickly as possible. And I fail to see any effort to recognize that right now.
I want to bring it back to the dairy cartel, because we'll have you back on if you're interested to talk geopolitics, because obviously we talk about this for 2 hours a day. So
I'm fascinated by this conversation.
I definitely would welcome to have somebody
And by
that's.
the way, if you've been using the word cartel for a while now, if you're
I
not
love
getting
that
any
word.
nasty emails from dairy farmers, you will eventually.
Really? They don't like it, eh?
It's fine.
I mean, listen. This is the reality, folks. So when for many years, I've been at this for 25 years. Early in my career, you just hinted that supply management was a
Cartel.
problem. You had threats.
It's a
Yeah.
third rail in Canadian
I
politics,
mean,
right?
I live in Halifax. The Halifax police came to my door twice
No.
because of threats I received to
Okay.
to myself, to my wife. Oh yeah, no, this is serious
Wow.
stuff.
Wow.
But
Wow.
here's what's really interesting. In the last, I'd say 3 years, I've been very vocal about supply management. I've not received one nasty email, one nasty DM, not a one phone call, nothing. Things are shifting. More and more people are questioning whether or not this regime is a good thing or not.
It's either that or because there's a lot of people like me out there that make you sound very normal. I question everything. I question everything, and the dairy cartel is the last person that I worry about their opinions. I
Listen,
get it.
first
So
of
maybe
all,
you're welcome,
let's
doctor.
be clear
You're welcome.
about the regime. The biggest victims are the dairy farmers themselves. Okay, there's a difference between boards and dairy
Yeah.
farmers. We got 9,500 dairy farmers that don't understand the politics of supply management. The boards are the corrupt ones. The boards are the ones with the power, with the quotas. Remember, I said who owns the quotas? $48 billion worth of quotas. The boards, they control the wealth, and they do everything in their power to preserve that wealth as much as possible. I'd say that most dairy farmers are out there doing great work, working very hard. I worked on a dairy farm when I was a kid. It's hard work.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for these folks, but the politics around are run by boards, and they're the ones really holding everyone back. Everyone.
So, because this is exactly what the question I had for you. So, who's at the end of the day, it sounds to me that it's not good for the farmers. It's
Yeah,
not good for Canadians. It's
who's
only
it
good for the boards, as you call them. So, are they
Dairy
like?
Farmers of Canada, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, in Quebec, la Fédération des producteurs de lait du Québec. That when I say boards, those are the people
Yeah.
sitting on those boards. Those are the ones that are after guys like me, for example.
So, is that why they call it a cartel? Because it's similar to the old school Italian mafia taking over. How do you call them? They ran the
boroughs?
what's no. You know what runs companies now? They all have organization that protects the workers. I don't know why I'm wearing.
Oh,
I'm
like
wearing
unions?
unions.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
like-
not? Are those boards just like unions that are run by mafia in the back end, and they're like, don't worry, we will put ourselves between the farmers, the consumer, and we will tell you what's best for you.
But
And
it's hard to call it a mafia because it's all government sanctioned. Folks,
it's the same thing.
this
It's
is
just a different.
government sanction. It's all legal, which makes
Just
it
like
even
So-
more ridiculous.
So the
Yeah.
question then is, if it's bad for farmers, dairy farmers, and bad for Canadian consumers, why would we keep this system? Because I know that you're not advocating for eliminating it. You were mentioning supply
2.0.
management 2.0. Is that a well-defined term? Do we even know what that would look like? Are there any proposals out there that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. We published with Nico Guelph Supply Management 2.0 3 years ago, a roadmap to a much stronger dairy sector. Now,
what does that look like, sort of in layman's terms?
So, a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from a well-known politician. I won't name which one. It's been mentioned on your show, I think, a couple of times.
Pierre Poilievre.
One of them.
Or
The person asked me.
Those are the two that we thought. And Mark Carney.
So I was asked, if you were to do one thing to make the dairy sector more competitive in Canada, what would you do? If you're God, okay, and you look down on Canada and you say, I want to fix the dairy sector, I want to make it competitive, what would you do? What's the one thing you would do? And my response was pretty simple. I would basically harmonize the allocation of quotas nationally. Just do that, and guess what's going to happen? Farmers wouldn't want that, because what would happen is that you would see the wealth of the dairy sector go west. Why? Because you have two dairy sectors in Canada. And this is important for your listeners to understand. You have two dairy sectors in Canada. You have east of Toronto and west of Toronto. So east of Toronto is Eastern Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic. Smaller farms, inefficient, costs a lot of money to produce milk and dairy fat. Okay. So they're small, and it's all about fair price. West of Toronto, and I visited many farms west of Toronto, larger farms, efficient farms, and it's all about volume and competitiveness. Okay. Now, the East is making dairy more expensive for everyone. Okay. If you are to harmonize the allocation of quotas nationally, all of the smaller farms would disappear, and all the milk and butterfat would go west. So prices would drop. Our dairy products would become cheaper. Milk would become cheaper, but Quebec would lose all of its quotas. Do you think that Quebec wants to lose all of its quotas?
Nope.
That's the problem.
So basically what you're saying is that the government is profiting from it's controlling it. Boards are profiting from it. Consumers are paying higher because it's not a free market, like a higher price because it's not a free market. We have the farmers that are having to dump milk that they could sell because they have quotas.
And by the way, the milk that was dumped, you paid for it. By the way, this is the difference between
it's baked into the cartel
and America,
into the quota price, right?
And to add insult to injury, we're subsidizing our dairy farmers.
Of course we are.
Okay, they call it compensation because we ratified a deal with the Americans. $1.7 billion is given back to dairy farmers. Now, why is this so important for farming in Canada? Because now you have a overcapitalized sector inflating the farmland prices. Farmland prices are going up because the dairy folks have too much money. They're buying land. That's all they can do with their money. So the beef guys, the pork guys, anyone else in the free market are having a harder time scaling up because dairy is making things more expensive for everyone. So for 9,500 farms that we have in Canada, dairy farms, it's actually affecting the ability for other sectors, over 100,000 farms, to grow and scale up and compete.
Is it, it sounds, I'm just going to take this and don't worry about the swear words because this is the type of show that we are, but basically Squirrel Nuts, which is one of our regulars, is saying, fuck Quebec, free the dairy farmers. And it's unfortunate because I think you can feel this. I'm from Montreal, but I spend half my time in the US and I travel a lot. I believe that is the same for you, but we do have a tendency to fuck shit up for whole Canada. And it's not just dairy.
Quebec wants, Quebec
oil and gas is the same thing. We really screw Alberta.
So when you look at the history of supply management, so under dairy, it started in 1972. Who was the prime minister in 1972?
Oh, the father.
Trudeau.
Wasn't that the father?
Yeah.
Trudeau father.
Yeah.
Right. And so in those days, and I think your audience needs to appreciate that. So in 1972, the Canadian School of Thought, so it's an economic school that really pushes government intervention. Because in those days, in 1972, we had too much milk in Canada. We were dumping milk all over the place. So Eugene Welland, the Minister of Agriculture at the time, said, you know what, enough dumping. We want to offer a fair price to everyone, and we'll set up a supply management scheme. Now, in 1972, there was a lot of support for it economically, and it actually made sense to stabilize the system. But 53 years later, he has become a political weapon against the Canadian population and against Donald Trump as well, against anybody really. That's what changed. And that change was spearheaded by the boards, not the dairy farmers, but the boards. And that's how things got wrong. I'd say probably mid-90s, when the world started to focus more on free trade, global trades.
Yep.
That's when our system became obsolete. It needed to go. So New Zealand got rid of it. UK got rid of it. Europe got rid of it. Korea got rid of it. Austria got rid of it. There's only one left, and that's good old Canada.
Huh.
I know you had to go at 1, but Rob has one question for you. So if you have a few minutes to dedicate to Rob.
He's a liberal, so sure.
It's all about feelings and triggering. Just so you know, but
I'm not,
he has a
not
question
that kind of,
for you
not that kind of liberal.
Are you still with the NDP? Are you still with the NDP?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I love when our guests rip into Rob too. I'm not.
I mean, we don't need to go down this whole rabbit hole. But I actually voted for Polyev just because I looked at 10 years of liberal economic performance, 1% growth over 10 years. I just said you can't reward this. You can't incentivize this in a democratic system. But that's a whole other story. My question was, we talked about that video that we saw. I'm not sure if you actually saw it, but it was a farmer who was dumping 30,000 liters of milk.
His name is Jerry Eugen from Ontario. Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, given the politics of supply management, do you think that guy, did he get a late night call from someone saying, do you think he had the police showing up because of threat? Like, do you think the other dairy farmers or certainly the board were not happy? Like, is that a dirty little secret that this kind of dumping is going on?
Have you seen him since?
No, that's right. Yeah, you got Epstein.
I mean, that's how it works. So he outed the system.
Yeah,
and of course he got visits. Absolutely, so by the board.
Were you shocked when you saw that someone?
Well, if you go back to my X feed, I think the day after the video came out, and I said, this is probably the most courageous thing I've seen in Canada in many, many years.
Wow.
And you're looking at this guy for the very last time.
Because I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, wow.
No, but this was serious. I mean, I do applaud. I commend the guy for doing what he did.
He knew.
Of course he did. Of course.
Yeah.
Now, he was, if you look at some of the feeds, he was treated like crap. He was called an incompetent dairy farmer. He should be jailed for what he did. He's misinforming the public. I mean,
those mafia comparisons kind of fit in some of this behavior.
I can assure you he's still alive and he's still operating his farm. Yeah. He can't speak anymore.
He's not talking anymore.
Yeah,
he was,
and so nobody else will be talking.
Nice dairy farm you got here. Be a shame if something happened to it.
I appreciate you talking about this, and I know I'm going to be annoying because we have some commenters, and this is something that I'm very healthy. I'm very careful about what I eat, and this is one thing I don't understand in Canada. And I'd like Sylvie's asking, what's your opinion on raw milk being illegal in Canada? Do you have an opinion on this? Is that something you can talk about, or you don't want to have visits?
Well, very briefly, this is certainly pushed by the boards. The boards don't want. You see, the biggest. So a lot of people are claiming let's end supply management because dairy prices are too high. That's not the right reason why we need to reform the system. The right reason is innovation. There's just no supply management allows farmers to produce what we need. Now, the key here is that we produce the same shit. I'm sorry. It's the same thing because you're paid as a farmer to do this and this and this and that, and everyone's equal. Everyone has to produce the same product for the Canadian public without recognizing that Canadians have different needs. Like wanting raw milk. 9 to 10% of Canadians would buy raw milk on a regular basis. I lived in Austria for a year with my family a few years ago. You can actually buy raw milk from a vending machine, for God's sake. In Canada, it's forbidden. There's lots of things that are forbidden. We have a plant in Kingston, Ontario that was built by China to process our own milk and make baby formula that was actually subsidized partially by you and I. I'm not making this up. It's called Canada Royal Milk. Look it up. This is something you cannot make up. It's why do we need China to build a plant right here in our own backyard? because farmers do not care about innovation. They do not care about needs that Canadians have, like baby formula, like raw milk and other things.
It's a shame because I have a newborn and my wife is not producing enough milk right now to be
How much are you paying for your baby formula?
I actually know. I was at Walmart this morning after the gym picking up formula, and even on sale. It was on sale, plus we had a $10 off because somebody gave it to us. But 900 gram, you're probably looking at $60.
So go online, look up Canada Royal Milk. You'll be able to buy baby formula, okay, for probably $41, $42 for a can. Okay, cheap. But that baby formula was made by a Chinese company right here.
But here in Canada.
Right here in Canada.
That's insane. And that's not on our shelves? That's not in the stores?
No, you can only buy it online.
That is crazy.
And the quality is the same.
Surely you can understand why some people want this system gone.
But how much of your audience, how many people that are listening in right now didn't know about Canada Royal Milk? My guess is that most people did not know about it.
I suspect
why? Because 100%. The media, and this is part of the board's influence, they spent $150 million in marketing and advertising. Do you think that the CBC and CTV Global have an interest in covering stories that actually would make the dairy farmers look bad?
Wow. So are you? Are they familiar with you? Like, are you on the radar screen? I'm assuming you're somewhat of a persona non grata to the boards because you speak freely about this. So should we be concerned for your safety? Is what I'm saying.
You're funny.
What I'm asking.
You're very funny. Hey, listen, if there is an event, so I this fall I'll be on stage 17 times. I give talks all over the world. But if a conference is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Canada, I'm never invited.
Funny how that works, eh?
There's only one exception in Canada, and that's the National Coffee Association Conference in Toronto. The Dairy Farmers are the main sponsor, and they absolutely want me on that stage. And so, wow. But if the Dairy Farmers of Canada are sponsors of an event, they do not want me there.
That's this has been a fascinating conversation, Sylvain. Just a couple comments here. Therese says, would love to see Dr. Sylvain back on the show. Have never heard of him. Tammy here says she's a longtime follower on X of Dr. Charlebois. Love his take and insights. Great job getting him on the show. Thanks to the food professor. So just the audio, we're getting. I'm not sure if you're able to see in the bottom right.
That's the one. That's it. Nourish. That's the one made by Canada Royal Milk.
And not available to us. Look at that price, $34.
It is literally half the price because what I bought this morning for $55 was on sale, $8 sale. Plus, I had a $10 coupon that was given to us when we were at the hospital. So it's literally half the price, and it's about the same size.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
You just saved Nico a lot of money. So man,
there you go. Thanks, China.
Well, Sylvain,
I'll be thanking China, I'm sure.
Thanks in the next couple of years. For coming on the show.
All right.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Really appreciate. Hopefully, we'll get you back. We'll talk about geopolitics next time. But
yeah,
I'll keep in touch with you. I definitely want to have you back on. But we really appreciate your time and enjoy your cottage.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.